Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After you run you through the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A where we answer fans' questions, and obviously in between that we're going to break down the game on Sunday. There's so much to talk about on today's episode. So much to talk about. We actually have a lot of news to talk about too. And we have so many questions to answer. You guys killed it in the fan Q&A. I think almost 50 questions were asked, which I think has to be a record. So we have, this is going to be a longer, it should be a pretty good episode. We have a lot to talk about today. So let's get into this first news story. So this first news story comes from me, and I think it's very important, and it kind of connects to this other news story, which is obviously related to Tua that we're going to talk about right now. And it's very interesting, and I think it's obviously a very hot topic for most Dolphins fans. We're going to get into all that here in just a second. But the first thing I want to bring up, and I think it's very important when it pertains to the Tua topic, is, if you guys don't know, Chester Rogers leaked a bunch of Tua snaps on YouTube. And first of all, obviously you guys should go watch it because it's Tua throwing the ball in practice and scrimmages. I think it was of the scrimmages that we had earlier in the year. So you guys obviously would want to see that anyway. But this is why it's important, and I think it's interesting in a lot of different ways. But to set the stage for it, everything that we've heard in the offseason when it comes to the beat writers, to the media, everything, is that Fitzpatrick is clearly, and really it's from Omar Kelly, who's obviously longtime beat writer for the Dolphins, who's been, I guess saying it the most, is like, Fitz, it's not even close. He's not ready yet. He's ready when he's ready, and the coaches will play him. Fitz gives them the best chance to win. If you look at these practices, now go on YouTube, look it up. I'm sure you guys can find it. And you look at some of these throws that Tua made him in that scrimmage. I don't know how it could be that much of a difference. I really don't. Because some of the throws that Tua, now this is a short amount of time, short clips, but some of the throws that he made in those clips are big time throws. And I can't imagine if he was doing that all offseason, as short as it was, that it was that big of a gap between the two. Either someone is lying or it's just an exaggeration that Fitz is that much better. I don't know what to think about it, because obviously we can't watch those scrimmages. We can't watch those practices. Those are close to the media. So we have to take everything everybody says with a grain of salt. And to see those practices and see the plays that Tua made in those practices and then compare it to what everybody... It's like, how could it be that much of a difference between the two? Because like I said, some of those throws that Tua threw in these videos or these clips are amazing. And he makes reads very quick. The first one that you guys are going to watch, and I don't want to stick on this too long, I wish I could pull up the video, but the first one you watch is a great example of one of the reasons what makes Tua such a great quarterback, is his head movement and how he manipulates the secondary. I've talked about this many times on this show. Obviously the most infamous one was his first start, or his first real playing time was in the national championship, and because of his head movement, he scores the game-winning touchdown on like a 3rd and 28. Literally the first play is a great example of that. He looks right. He knows where he's going the entire time. And he just can see the field so well. He manipulates the back end. He knows where he's going. He comes all the way back to the other side of so he starts to the right side. Imagine his head is tilted all the way to the right. He snaps his head all the way back to the left, okay, within like a second. And then fires a ball 20, 25 yards down the field. And it's tight coverage. And it's a laser, okay? That's the kind of stuff that makes Tua special. Is his quick release, his quick decision making, his ability to see the field, the way he manipulates, safeties and defensive backs and linebackers is and his instincts, his touch on the football, all of that stuff, and it was all on display in these practice videos. So, how much of a difference really was it? And if we had a longer offseason with OTAs and all that stuff, I wonder who would have actually started week 1? Because there's no way, seeing some of those throws Tua made in these videos, that it was that big of a difference. There's just no way. I don't believe it. After watching these videos, it makes me, just question a lot of things. So how does that relate to this news story? So this is really interesting. Now, this next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. And this is what Brian Flores had to say, who the starting quarterback will be going into week 5. This is what he had to say about that. Again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors. and this is what he had to say. He said, when asked who his quarterback will be for Week 5 against the 49ers, Flores didn't immediately say Ryan Fitzpatrick, as he usually does. Armando Salguero of the Miami Herald tweeted, he said the coaching staff will start discussing the decision this evening. That's huge news, okay? Because obviously, if you've kept up with everything, obviously, like in the article, B-Flow is always very like, okay, Fitz is the starter. He's going to be a starter on Sunday. The fact that they're going to actually have a discussion about this and to come to a consensus who should start, it's going to be very interesting. Chan Gailey is a Fitz guy. It's going to be interesting to see how this is going to come to be. Because when you look at it, and like I said, we just brought up this whole Tua thing with the videos and, what's been reported and how, is it that big of a difference? Is it not that big of a difference? And then we've seen 4 games of the season. Fitz it's been a very mixed bag. He's had highs, very high highs, and very low lows, which you can't do against good teams. You can't throw some of those interceptions that he threw so far this year, especially the one that he had in the fourth quarter against Seattle. That was terrible. We're going to get into that later. But when you look at all of these things, and you take all of them into account, maybe Tua practiced better than what's been reported. Because it seems to... And I know it was these are short clips. I can't imagine him making those plays, how it could be that big of a gap between the two. When you take that into account, maybe he's been better than what's been reported. When you take into the account of the up and down play of Fitzpatrick, when you take into account that if we make one more play, we make one less bad read, we catch a ball here, we deflect the ball here, that we could literally, have beat the Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills, who are both undefeated right now. You look at all of those things, I think it's time to make that move. I really do. After watching those clips, not only that, but taking into account the offensive line is so much better. And I've said this many times, but I think the deciding factor on whether Tua should start or not has always been the offensive line. And the fact that the offensive line is significantly better than it was a year ago, I just don't see the reason not to play him. After all of these things that I just said, I think all of those factors, I don't understand why you wouldn't play him. I really don't. I just don't. I can't think of a reason not to at this point. And I think when you say that, I think the biggest thing I would be concerned about is the locker room and how they would take it. Does the locker room feel the same way we do as fans? Probably not. I mean, we know that Fitz is a big, he's a great leader and everybody loves him, and he's been a huge help to Brian Flores and changing the culture there. Does that, he's a big Chan Gailey guy. I mean, pretty much the reason Chan Gailey's there is because of Fitzpatrick. There's a lot of things going against Tua, but at the end of the day, it's who wins, who gives us a better chance to win football games. I think you have to, and it's hard because if you look at all of the 4 games that we've played so far, there have been high highs, like I said. I mean, Fitz is, the throw that he made on 3rd and 10 to Isaiah Ford, the scramble that he had on 3rd and 10 in that game, those are all huge plays and great plays, and those are franchise quarterback plays. But then you see some of the throws and decisions and misreads that he makes. It's just, I feel like, you can't say for sure that, okay, if Tua was in this situation, or if Tua played against the Seahawks, or if Tua played against the Bills, or if Tua played against the Patriots, would Tua have made that much of a difference? I can't tell you that, because we've never seen Tua play an NFL game yet, and we won't know until we know. And I think it has to be done, and I think it has to be done at this point. I think if Tua were to have started Week 1, I think the hardest game he would have played in by far would have been the Patriots game. If you look at what the Patriots defense did to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I mean, they literally could not move the ball on the Patriots defense, and you've seen how much of a difference our offense has looked against the Bills, the Jags, and even the Seahawks. I mean, we've been moving up and down the field, so I just think there's too many positives not to play the dude. I think the biggest question mark was the offensive line. It has been completely fixed. It's one of the it's probably the best unit on the team right now in terms of consistency. I can't I don't think you can make an argument for it not to happen, because the only argument that people had was that he's not ready. But we've seen some of these clips. I don't believe that now after seeing that. I cannot believe that it would have been that big of a difference in training camp after seeing him make some of the throws that he made in that scrimmage. I don't know, and I think it's time. I think it's time. After that game, I mean, Fitz has not played well. People. Even if the players are like, okay, well, he had an amazing. Listen, we would beat the if Tua plays against the Jags, we still beat the Jags because we're a better team than them. We are a better football team than them. I mean, defensively, offensively, offensive line, secondary. I don't care what tight ends, receivers. We have more talent than they do. We would beat them either way if Tua starts or not. So, in saying that, we would still be 1-3 with Tua, in my opinion. Or we would even be better than that. I don't know, because who knows if Tua makes a better read here. I mean, he could. Who knows if he would. I can't say for sure that he would have. I'm not want to play the what if game here, but I do know this for a fact that we would still be 1-3 right now. I don't think we would be worse than 1-3. I think we would be better if I had to guess if Tua started the season. So, in saying that, I think it's time. I think all of those factors, you factor all that stuff in, I think it's time to move on. Like I said, I think the biggest thing that I'm worried about is the locker room factor and how the players would take it. Would there be locker room issues? There wasn't that many. I mean, there were locker room issues when Josh Rosen played over Fitz, according to Omar Kelly. But also, according to Omar Kelly, there was a huge gap between the two in training camp and OTAs. And then in seeing those videos, it's like, was Fitz throwing through people's bodies? When you say there's a big gap between the two, I just can't imagine that after seeing Tua make some of those throws and some of those clips. So like I said, taking all of those factors into account, I think it's just time. I just think it's time. Like I said, I don't think you know until you know. They play the 49ers in week 5. I don't think the 49ers, the 49ers defense, especially their front seven, really we're talking about their defensive line, it's not as good as it used to be. Obviously with the losses of Solomon Thomas, D Ford's on IR, Nick Bosa's out for the year. I mean, it's not the greatest front in the world. So I don't think Tua is going to get hit at all in that game. So I think it's a good time to do it. And I think you won't know until you know. And especially if he goes out there and plays really well against a good coached Niners team, I think that gives you confidence for the rest of the year, and especially with the players. So it would be not only a big deal for us fans to see Tua play, but I think it would be a huge deal for the locker room, Tua proving that, yeah, I am the starting quarterback of this team. And much as you love Fitz or you don't, I think proving that he gives them the best chance to win on Sundays. We'll see how it works out. We'll see what Brian does on Sunday. But in my opinion, I think when you look at some of the stuff that Fitz has put on display, and then you take into account all the other stuff that I was talking about with the offensive line and stuff like that, I think you won't know until you know, and I think you have to play him. I have fully come full circle on this. I think it's time. And it's not just because, I mean, we've seen it 3 times now, with Fitz making some of these poor decisions. And like I said, it's very up and down. He has some of those throws and some of those plays that are amazing, and then just you shake your head and you're like, I mean, honestly, we were in the red. We'll get into that here in a second. I don't want to, because I'm going to get off on a tangent in the red zone and all this other stuff. We'll talk about that when we break down the game. But let's move on to the last news story, and then we'll break down the game. All right, I just want to remind everybody, it's just something that we've talked about before, and I've literally read on this show before, but I just want to remind everybody, Antonio Callaway is a Dolphin. He has attended meetings. He has been learning the playbook. He just can't play until week 8, and we're getting closer and closer to week 8. So I'm excited about that. He's a very talented receiver. I can't wait to see him play on Sundays. I'm sure that the Dolphins are already carving a rollout for him because he is a very talented player. So again, counting down, and it's not like we're in anticipation here, but yeah, it's just something to keep your eye on and to look forward to because Antonio Callaway is a very talented player. All right, so let's get into the game. The Dolphins fall to the Seattle Seahawks in a very close game that broke my heart, and this is going to be very hard to talk about. I could probably talk about this game for 5 hours. I mean, this one ripped right out of my chest because arguably this is a top 3 team in the league. To beat them in Hard Rock Stadium, I just think would have been a huge deal. And we were so close, and it hurts. So again, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Dolphins 31-23 on Sunday. Really, this game was close throughout. I mean, if you look at the quarter scoring, the Seattle Seahawks scored 10 in the first, we scored 3 in the first. The Seahawks scored 7 in the second, we scored 6 in the second. The Seattle Seahawks scored 0 in the third, we scored 3 in the third. The Seattle Seahawks scored 14 in the fourth, we scored 11 in the fourth. So it was a very close game throughout. Really fun game to watch the offense really kind of continue. I mean, literally, we didn't punt at all. It seemed like throughout the entire game. We just couldn't finish in the red zone. So let's start with, I want to mention one thing before we move on. Lindbone Jr. was activated for that game, and I want to bring this up before we move because I probably won't remember. He had the one Wildcat step that he took. I'm excited to see more of that. I think from everything that we've heard from the media members there, that Lindbone Jr. has looked very good. I'm excited to see him implemented into the offense as well. So we got really his first snaps in an NFL game, and he looked pretty good. All right, so do we start with the offense or defense here? Let's start with the defense, because I feel like I'm going to talk about this a little bit quicker. So everything, I think the big, all right, I guess we'll quickly run through the stat line. Russell Wilson finished with 360 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Chris Carson was their leading rusher with 16 carries for 80 yards. DK Metcalf was he was amazing on Sunday. 4 receptions for 106 yards. His average was 26 yards a catch, which is insane. David Moore had a big day. He had 3 receptions for 95. We kept Tyler Lockett pretty much in check with 2 catches. And really, the David Moore stat line is kind of misleading because the majority of those yards are off of 2 busted coverages, really. So yeah, we did a good job on Lockett. Greg Olsen had a couple of crazy catches, unfortunately, which he would have dropped some of those. He kind of got lucky on the one that Eric Rowe made a really good play on it and just somehow fell in his lap. That's just been our luck so far this season. We've had pretty bad luck. So yeah, what do we even want to talk about with this defense? Let's start with the defensive line. Let's focus on this. It's been a huge topic of discussion so far this season. They looked really good against the Jaguars. I thought they looked really good again in this game. It's been very hard to sack Russell Wilson for a lot of different teams. It's been very hard to get any pressure on him so far this season with the way he's getting the ball out. The fact that we were able to make him hold the ball. I mean, we got off the field on 4th and 3, which is people just don't do against Russell Wilson. I thought we did a really good job on rush lanes. I thought we had good penetration at times in run defense. Wish it was a little bit more consistent, but I still felt like we did a good job on some of those running plays. And like I said, I think we were able to at least, I mean, there were times that Russell Wilson had time back there, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we made some plays in rushing the passer against Russell Wilson. We were able to get some holding calls. I think we're trending in the right direction. Again, guys, this is one of the best offense, arguably, to the Kansas City Chiefs. The top 3 offenses in the league right now, the Ravens, the Seahawks, and the Chiefs. So, the fact that our defense were able to make some plays, especially with the defensive line, I think you have to give them a lot of credit for that, which is not something other defenses were able to do against this team. So I thought the defensive line, I still think they're trending in the right direction. You would like to see more consistency in the run game in terms of run defense, but they had their moments, and they had not so great moments. They just need to kind of get just a little bit more consistent in that area. And I really think a lot of that has to do with the linebackers from what we've seen, especially in this game. Not in, I would say, the past games, but especially in this game. I feel like our linebackers could have tackled a little bit better. But again, Chris Carson, one of the best power backs in the league. So sometimes you got to tip your hat. And he only had 80 yards on 16 carries, which is a lot. But I feel like he was kept in check. Like I said, he just wasn't consistent. He just popped a couple good runs here and there. But if it was more consistent, it just wasn't a good body of work, I guess is the way you can describe it. But I still think the defensive line is trending in the right direction. Okay, so let's talk about the secondary, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where even to start with this, dude. I haven't been this mad at a secondary member since probably Jamar Taylor, which is not something I thought I would ever say again, but unfortunately I'm here saying it. That and Byron Maxwell, who just refused to check anyone at the line of scrimmage, who was 50 yards off of his, like, literally gave, I seemed like he was on a 50-yard drop every single time. This is how, how we busted a coverage with, I think it was 10 seconds left in the half, and gave up 7 points in 20 seconds right before halftime is ridiculous. Some of the plays, I can't even muster the words up for the feelings that I feel right now. Not only that, but the touchdown that Igbenogany gave up, by the way, apparently that was his main, by the way, David Moore. So I'm just going to take what the coaches say. That was a busted coverage by him. I would love to go back and watch that play again to see what the defense was supposed to do. Because I still don't really know, because it was so bad that I'm I don't know. I have no idea what coverage that was supposed to be. Anyway, even the touchdown that he gave up to David Moore was so lackadaisical. I don't know if he was trying to bait Russell Wilson. I'm not really sure what that was. He was flat-footed. He let him get behind him, and then it looked like at the last second he was trying to speed up and pick the ball off. I have no idea if he thinks he's Deion Sanders, but just how about just cover your dude? Just cover him. I don't care. I don't know what the heck that was. I have no idea what that was. He's been playing very bad. Very bad. Now, granted, he's gone, the 2 bad games that he has had have been against the best offenses in the NFL. I mean, the Bills are a top 5 offense right now. Unquestionably a top 5 offense, unfortunately. It sucks to say that, but they are. The Seahawks, one of the best offenses in the NFL. And so I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both, but some of the plays that he has, even in the Jaguars game, I mean, he should have given up a touchdown to Chris Conley, and the Dolphins don't even want to say whose fault it was. We know whose fault it was, dude. I just don't. There's no way. It blows my mind that Nick Needham hasn't even gotten a shot to play on the outside. I don't know. I'm speechless. Everybody else in the secondary, I felt like listen, DK Metcalf's from a different planet. He's gonna win his matchups. I thought X did a good job of limiting them as much as he possibly could. He won a lot on Sunday. He lost some too, but he won a lot on Sunday. Obviously, the one the interception they got in the red zone was, I mean, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful play by X. No one's, keeping up with DK Metcalf on a post in the end zone, especially pressed like that. So I think X, again, and a lot, a big chunk of those yards are on that check down at the end of the game where DK just ran over our entire secondary. But I thought X played as well as you possibly could play as a receiver who's just in the zone right now. He's completely in the zone. I thought Bobby McCain had his best game as a safety. He had a really nice game just breaking on the ball, knocking some passes out on some key third downs. So I thought Bobby had a very good game at free safety, by far his best. I could point to two third downs where it was because of Bobby McCain that we got off the field. So, props to Bobby. Other than that, yeah, Noah Igbenogany right now is an eyesore. It's bad. Now, granted, Stephon Diggs, probably one of the top 3 receiver core in the NFL with the Seahawks. I think it's a little bit of both, and it's a lot to ask for a rookie first-round corner. But, oh my god, dude. It's just rough as a fan to watch, and it's a little bit much, It's a little bit much with some of the bad plays that we've seen from him. And I just can't wait for Byron Jones to get back. We'll see what, obviously Brian says if he looks good in practice, he'll play him. Let's all cross our fingers and hope to God that Byron Jones can come back, because it would be nice to see that. And, it sucks to even think about. Now, this is something that I didn't even know. Byron has only played one entire drive with this defense. He's been in and out of the lineup. I don't know if that's true, but that's something that I heard. And I believe it. But that's crazy that he didn't play in more snaps against the Patriots. But what was I saying? It sucks to think that Byron Jones, how much of a difference he could have made against the Bills and against the Seahawks. So, it sucks to think about that because it's there's no way, you could point out to 3 or 4 different plays, and the communication will be that's one of the things that the Cowboys were raving about Byron Jones is his ability to communicate in the back end. Even that would have been better. We would have had less busted coverages. He would definitely have covered his man better. There's no way he gives up some of those big plays to Stephon Diggs. It completely changes the outcome of the game, and it sucks to even think about it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So defensively, I think we called a good game. I thought the defensive line, all of that's trending in the right direction. We kept everything in front of us. They really had to check down the ball a lot, which kind of hurt us in a lot of situations. I mean, they checked down the ball a lot in this game. I think we tackled pretty good. I didn't think it was terrible. We missed a few big tackles, but I think when you play that much soft zone sometimes, you're going to give up some big plays. Or not big plays, but you're going to miss a tackle. So I didn't think it was awful, but good Lord did they hit the flats today. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say about the defense other than there's a lot of mental mistake. It really, it's crazy that all of the bad plays that we can point to, especially in the secondary, are all Noah Igbenogany, dude. Other than, I guess, the Xavier Howard touchdown that he gave up against John Brown, which we still don't know whose fault that really was, because if you go back and watch that play, I don't know if, it's weird. It's weird that Bobby McCain was that close to the ball. Anyway, the point is yeah, it's not great. Igbenogany is just... It's not great. And I think it has, like I said, it's a mixture of both. I think he's a rookie, and he's gone against some really good receiving cores. So I think it was just a bad, it was a disaster, and it's a bad mix there. So let's move on from the defense. I don't really know. I feel like I'm missing something from the defense. We talked about the busted coverage. We talked about the issues with Igbenogany, so I feel like we've covered it pretty much. I gave some props where I could. Let's move on to the offense, dude. Oh my god. So, not only does it suck to almost have beaten an undefeated team in Hard Rock Stadium to get us to 2-2 going against the very injured San Francisco 49ers, but not only does that suck, but to move the ball like we did and get in the red zone, I believe, 6 times and settle for 5 field goals, dude. Think about that for a second, dude. It was a mixture. Here's how I can describe it without talking about it for 50 minutes. It was a mixture of terrible reads, bad luck because we had that drop by Devontae Parker, and bad play calling. The 3rd and 3. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I would have ran there too. And I know everybody's going to be freaking out right now. But I would not have ran against that look. There's no way. And at least I would have given, if I'm Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's no way you don't at least give a hard count right there because they were sending the entire, they were sending the safety. It was a run blitz the entire way. He should have at least given a hard count right there. I don't mind the play call though because we've been, so let's say you get a yard or 2, it's 4th and 1, let's go for it. It's not that bad of a call. To lose, I think 2 yards on that to make it, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely, we should have executed that better. And I think you can't run against that look either. I think either the play should have been audible, or you give him a hard count and you change the play. I don't think you can, run against that look. But like I said, I think it was a mixture of bad play, I think really that was the only play call I can point to. That was terrible. Bad luck because we had a drop by Devontae Parker. We had a few penalties down there. I'm trying to think. Yeah, we just couldn't get it done in the red zone. And again, Fitz, I want to bring this up too. We had another play in the red zone, and this is again a Fitz problem. Where if you guys remember the one that it was 3rd down, I don't know what yard line we were on, but we were very close to the end zone. we pass the football, and Isaiah Ford is wide open in the end zone. If you just lob it over the coverage, he's wide open for a touchdown. And then Fitz tries to just nail it in there, and it was almost intercepted by Bobby Wagner. But he was wide. There was no one in the middle of the field, dude, other than the underneath coverage. If you just somehow can get it over those two, which you definitely can as an NFL quarterback, you score a touchdown there. So, like I said, I think it was just a mixture of, we need more consistency from the running game. We need, oh my God, it was a mixture of a lot of bad, dude. It wasn't just one thing. Fitz needs to make better reads. He had a drag that would have, I can't remember the exact play, but he missed Devontae Parker running a shallow cross across the field, and instead he shoots one into the end zone. And I can't even remember who he was throwing it to, but that would have given us a first down and another 3 downs to try to get a touchdown. I think it was just a mixture of all of that stuff, dude. It hurts so much to be that close and just not get anything from it. Yeah, but like I said, I think the biggest one out of them all was the 3rd and 3. You decide to kick the field goal, which makes it 17-15. You run the football there, and you just don't get it. I'm not mad at the idea of it, though. I think we can all sit here, I'm going to explain it again. You run it there, you get 2 yards. Let's say you get 2 yards. That's 4th and 1. You go for it. Hopefully you get it. Or you get a yard. It's 4th and 2. You go for it. Hopefully you get it. Or you get the first down. We've been running that play on them, and that's what I really don't understand. Is we've ran that same play and we've been getting like 6-7 yards off of it. And then they know it's coming. Give them a hard count. You can see the safety cheating in. I feel like Fitz could have audibled or done something different. But I think we're getting a little too. I thought, okay, let's give some shout outs here. Lundbone Jr., I'm excited to see more of those packages. Myles Gaskin looked great. The offensive line looked great again. Matt Breida had his best day. He made a couple plays on some receptions. Devontae Parker was dominant. He had 10 receptions for 110 yards. Isaiah Ford would have had more yards and a touchdown if Fitz could have just made those reads. Jakeem Grant would have walked in the end zone. We forgot to talk about, dude, we have to talk about this before we move on, is the interceptions. How can I forget about this? And obviously we're going to talk about the spot too, which was awful. The first interception, Jakeem Grant literally would have walked into the end zone. He ran a double move, and I noticed this in real time, by the way. Not in real time, but in real time I actually noticed this. I noticed what people I didn't see Jakeem Grant. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you didn't see that, but yeah, Jakeem Grant he runs a double move, and he's walking into the end zone. This is again bad luck and a bad read, because Fitz isn't even throwing to him. He's throwing to the tight end, who's also kind of open, but not as open as the 50-yard, 60-yard touchdown that is on the left side of the field. Okay? And again, we just can't connect on that. It's just terrible luck. It gets tipped up to the air, it's intercepted. The first drive of the game. We would have been up 7-0. The last interception, not only is it a bonehead read, that is a read you make on 4th and 10, not on 1st and 10. How does he make that read? At the time, we're down 9. There's a ton of time left in the 4th. We've been moving the ball up and down, and we've been passing very effectively on them. And even on this drive, it looked like we had rhythm, and then he just kills it all, dude, with one of the worst interceptions I have ever seen. I don't know what he was thinking, dude. I honestly don't. And I think someone was... I can't remember. I don't know. It was like a mix-up on the route concept. I don't know, but there was nothing there. I just don't get it with him sometimes. It just, it's a little bit much. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's a little bit much. Yeah, so just those 2 picks. I mean, the first one was just terrible luck. And the second one was on Fitz. I mean, that was terrible. All right, I want to hit on 2 more things before we move on to the fan Q&A. The first thing is the spot. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but that was one of the worst calls I have ever seen in my life. Clearly, they're short. They literally you cannot zoom up on it even more on obviously TV, and you can clearly see that it's barely short, but it's short. And then somehow, obviously, that spot gets messed up. The Seahawks go on to win the game. It is what it is. hey, that's our luck this year so far. We've had terrible luck this year. We can't get any plays to bounce our way. What was the other thing I was going to hit on? Oh, KJ. I thought Chan Gailey called a very good game this game. I really liked a lot of his concepts to defeat. They played very soft zone all day. I thought we did a great job of having always something to stress out the zone where Fitz could just dump it down and get like a 6-7 yard game. We always had something like that on the field. I thought Chan Gailey, really nice play designs, really nice play calling. We weren't under center that much, which is not what this team does well. We really attacked all game, and I really liked the game plan from Chan Gailey. We had some really nice screens, and this is something I want to also bring up. We had some really nice screens drawn up that would have went for big gains, but KJ Wright is just that dude apparently, and just can tackle people with his shoulder, for God's sakes, dude. Like, KJ Wright saved so many plays for the Seahawks, dude. If you are a Seahawks fan and you somehow made it 36 minutes into this video, KJ Wright by far was the MVP of that game on defense. Like, he was very disruptive throughout the entire game. If he doesn't make those 2 plays on those screens, that's like a 15-yard gain on both of those screens. Those were really good calls, but KJ Wright is just a good player and just made a play, unfortunately. So yeah, I think we pretty much wrapped it up. It's a very disappointing game. We should have won it. We had a lot of opportunities to win it. We shot ourselves in the foot. You can't settle for that many field goals in the NFL, especially not against a good offense. You got to find a way to finish. I know a lot of people are not thrilled with the conservative call on 3rd and 3, but I think that's like the least of the, like, what about the other 4 times? What about the misread by Fitz? What about, some of the bad plays Ignogany had? I thought the coaching staff did a good job today in preparing for the Seahawks and really giving the Seahawks defense that's not good, but still had a great game plan, and still we just couldn't finish. I mean, we were moving up and down the field. I thought the defense had a good game plan too. I thought we were really... Russell Wilson barely... very few scrambles that killed us in this game. Obviously, the busted coverage, that was the biggest one. But other than that, we did a good job of containing him. So I thought that we were prepared to play them. We played them hard, and we just couldn't do it. I think it's just more on the players and the coaches, by far, in my opinion. Fitz has got to play better, dude. If he plays against the 49ers, he has to play better against better, good teams. We would have beat the Jags 15-3 with Tua. Let's say that's the worst outcome of that game, but we still beat them. Like, it doesn't matter how you beat. He has to play better against better teams. He has to, dude. He cannot have, I swear, against every good team, he has one bad pick. You can't do that, dude. You cannot do that against Russell Wilson. And especially at the end of that, that was just an awful... He made some terrible throws in this game, too, that should have been intercepted, that weren't. Same thing against the Buffalo game. He had a couple of those, too. It's just... He has to play better and make better reads and make better decisions and make better throws, but, hopefully we see that from him. If he is this... and I think at this point I am pulling for Tua. I'm interested to see what you guys say in the fan Q&A. But... all the stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the show, I think you just can't not start him, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, just super disappointing. This was a tough one to relive because it is what it is, dude. So close to beating one of the best teams in the league, and would have been an awesome victory. But I cannot tell you how happy I would have been if we beat them. But man, it's just a tough one, dude. And you know what? And one thing I will say before we move on to the fan Q&A, the coaching staff did a great job, and I will argue with anybody on that in this game. I thought we were, like I said, we were prepared for that team, and I thought we did had a good game plan going into this game. We are so much better than we were a year ago, though. And I know that we've drafted well, which is a good... Guys, we drafted well. We drafted well. And we made great decisions in free agency, too, with some of the moves that we made with the offensive line. And we still haven't seen Byron, and I'm sure he'll be amazing because he's always been amazing. This is the same dude that only let one catch up to Michael Thomas, by the way. So very excited to get him back and healthy. So there's a lot of positive, even though we still came within a toenail of beating the Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills. We were in every game this year in the fourth quarter. You've got to sit back and kind of look at everything and say, wow, it is better than it has been in a long time. I mean, I think the coaching staff Brian is a great coach so far. like sometimes you have to stop and give some props to some of the things that we've been seeing, even though the outcomes haven't been all that great, and we've had our issues with some of the players, but I think this team is much improved from a year ago, and we're definitely heading in the right direction. So let's get into the thank you name, where we answer fans' questions. We have 41 questions today, which is great. And I'm interested to see what you guys think about this game, because good lord, it'll rip your heart out. This first question comes from JackPack18. He says, "I just can't get over how soft the defense is. They need a lot." Well, I disagree with that. The Igbenogany thing is a huge issue right now, and Byron Jones, makes a lot of those issues go away. So I want to see what this defense does with him. And I think it'll be a lot better. And I think he would have been a huge factor in both of those games. And unfortunately, we just couldn't have him. This next question comes from Vegas75. He says, "A lot of mental mistakes cost us this game. Is a majority of this the player/execution, the coaches/scheme, or deficiency in talent in key positions?" I think it's... Because offensively, we were killing it. I'm not going to say there's I can't really point to a deficiency on offense. Maybe you want one more speed guy there at receiver, which Antonio Callaway is coming back for week 8. But maybe you want that there on offense. But other than that, I like our offense. And defensively, maybe you want one more pass rusher that's an outside linebacker. But other than that, I don't really know what you would want defensively. I think the interior of the defensive line is good. I think the linebackers are good. I like X, obviously. I think Bobby's playing better at free safety. Erico's a really good safety as well in this scheme. I think he's had a good year so far. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of deficiencies there. I think a lot of it has to do, and if you look at Igbenogany, he's just giving up too many big plays. And I think really, like I said, I think when you talk about deficiencies in talent, like I said, I think all you really, from watching these games, all that you would really want is two players. I think, like I said, maybe a receiver that could stretch the field a little bit better than Jakeem does, because he's not the greatest receiver. And really, I don't even think this team needs that, because I think the offense is fine right now. I think it's good. And defensively, I think, because we have Byron Jones, he's coming back. I think maybe you want a Chandler Jones type guy to be in this New England system. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's a huge talent deficiency. So really, I think what it was execution and just players. I think the two players that really let us down in this game were Igbenogany and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think they just had bad games, and obviously Devontae had that bad drop, but I think it had a lot to do with just the ball. Like I said, just the tip pick, all of that stuff, just bad luck. So yeah, I think the whole, and I've seen this being said a lot, this team still has a lot to get. No, it definitely doesn't. You just need, like I said, maybe you want one more pass rusher on the defense, and then maybe you want a speedy guy, like a Henry Ruggs type guy. But other than that, I really don't know. There's not a huge deficiency other than those. Even those aren't huge deficiencies. I just think they would help the team in some areas. That they're lacking a little bit, but it's not hurting. Those aren't hurting the team that much. It's Igbenogany, it's Fitz making bad decisions. That's what's hurting the team right now. And I think the offensive line is great. Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, I think they're two very good players. Mike is a great player. Myles Gaskin is a very solid NFL running back. I don't know if he's a Pro Bowler yet, but he's a good player. Offensive line's killing it. I think there's a lot to love about this roster. I think there's just two. You just need a sprinkle here and a sprinkle there. I don't think this is like a void like it was last year. So to answer your question, Vegas75, I think it was more with the players and execution than it was coaches and scheme, for sure. I'm really liking Chan Gately's offense. I really like it so far. I think it's been very good, and I'm excited to. Hopefully, we just can finish in the fourth quarter. And like I said, I think what I said about this team earlier, I think we're going to be this is what I said before the season started, I think we're going to be a very competitive team, and if we go 8-8 or 7-9, it's because we lose a lot of games in the fourth quarter, and that's what has happened so far, unfortunately. Hopefully we can fix that and finish games better. Alright, let's move on to the next question. This next question comes from May D. Mamo. Memo or whatever. What's going on over here? He says, I can't remember the last time we had a deep ball or a big play. Is Fitz's arm not strong enough? And do you think Tua can bring that out in our offense? Well, I think, man. I mean, we would have had one if Fitz saw it. We had a nice double move called up, just couldn't hit it. Yeah, that's not really what the scheme is. And when we do go deep, it's more back shoulder fade stuff. And like I said, I think this team is missing a more traditional deep threat receiver. Because right now, Jakeem Grant is really just a gadget guy. That's really as much as he's given us right now. He's not giving us any consistency as a receiver. So I think that's probably the one thing that this team would love to have. And they have it. They do. Antonio Callaway, he's just not, he can't play right now. He's suspended. But I think they do have that on the roster. And I'm excited to see Antonio Callaway give that to us. But I don't think, and I think it has a lot to do with execution too. Because, that's a 6-yard bomb for a touchdown if Fitz can hit it. So, I think it's mostly execution, and I think a little bit of the Dolphins don't have it. I don't know, who knows if Tua makes that throw and that read. I can't say for sure, but I would like to believe he would in my head. But I think it's a little bit of both. I don't know if Tua necessarily could bring that out in this off. I mean, I think it would be called the same way. I don't think we would go deep that much. But, when Antonio Callaway comes back, who knows what's going to happen. Maybe we go deep a little bit more than we have before. But I think the offense is running just fine without that. I don't think it's been hindering the offense at all. I think we've still been able to really stress out defenses and move the ball down the field. Especially against zone teams. I think our offense really hurts zone teams big time. And we play another zone team against the 49ers coming up. So did I answer your question, Mayo? Let's see here. Do you remember the last time we had a deep ball play? Is it's Fitz's arm or not strong enough, or do you think it's Tua that can bring? I think, like I said, I think it has a little bit to do with the personnel, and I think it has a little bit to do with Fitz just needs to make better reads. To be honest with you, and the offense, it doesn't really call for that much. This next question comes from Vegas. He says, I don't really see the it factor with Noah yet. Have you seen any flashes of why he was deserving of the first round pedigree? Yeah, I've seen some. I think his break on the ball when he's in position to do so is really good. He's a good tackler. He's a good physical corner. It's just, he just can't, I don't know. I think it has a lot to do, because X, if you remember, X had a lot of these moments as well. I think as a rookie, obviously now he's great, but I think it has a lot to do with him being a rookie. He's being baptized by you could not play better receivers in the NFL than he's played already. So I think it's a mixture of both of those things. But you do see flashes of it. Like, he's had a couple plays where it's like, okay, I see, especially against the Jags where he was playing zone a lot, and his ability to just kind of hit the pedal and really break up a play. I think you see a little bit of that. I think you can see where he could go. And like I said, I think his best play and his best ball will be especially his rookie year, will be in the slot. And I'm excited to see him move to that position, because I think he could be a dominant slot player for a long time in this league. If that's fine. He doesn't have to be, especially with how the secondary is built right now. That's cool, and that's a very important part of this New England style defense, is that slot position. So I'm excited to see him move back to that. Yeah, but I do think you can see it's in him, and I think we'll see that come out when Byron comes back. So let's go to this next question. This question comes from Take Me Out. He says, "Hi, Skags. Several questions." He says, "At this rate, we're on our way to the top 2 picks." I don't know. Well, I mean, we don't look like a top 2 pick team. That's for sure. But we only have won 1 game so far. It's only 5 weeks in, or 4 weeks in. He says, "My picks would be a top pass rusher in the NCAA, and the second pick would be Najee Harris. What are your picks?" I don't know if Najee Harris is deserving of that high of a pick. I like him as a player, but I don't know how high. I don't know where he's projected to go. But I don't see that happening. But I don't know. I think as of right now, I think if I was making decisions, depending on how good Antonio Callaway. Okay, let's say Antonio Callaway comes back and kills it, and he's just as good as he was with Cleveland, if not better, because he's in year 3 as a professional. let's say Antonio Callaway kills it. I would probably, if I had to make, I would probably definitely go with a pass rusher on the outside. And I would probably add either just an offensive weapon. It wouldn't have. It could be a running back, a tight end, or a receiver. I think just to give Tua more, because I don't think the defense necessarily needs another guy, especially if you draft a pass rusher. So I think that's what I would look to. So yeah, I think you're in the right place for sure. I don't know if that's Najee Harris or a receiver. If it's what's his face, what's the receiver from LSU? He's really, really good. I can't remember his name, but maybe him. I think just another playmaker on offense. And I don't think the Dolphins need that. I want to make that clear. I just think it would be just something to add to the, for Tua. This next question, he has multiple questions here. This is the same questions from Tech Me Out. He says, by midseason, what do you need to see to know that the rebuild is going in the right direction? I think it's already going in the right direction. I think I've seen that already. I think it's definitely going in the right direction with the draft. The free agent signings, and Eric Flowers has killed it. Kyle Van Noy's been very good. Byron Jones we haven't been able to see yet. Who else? Who am I forgetting? Ted Karras, he's been really good. So yeah, I think this is definitely going in the right direction. Then he says Jarvis Landry will have received all of his guaranteed money by season's end. Do you see any scenario where he could be a Miami Dolphin again? No, not at all. Take me out. Not at all. I could never see that happening again. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, Skaggs, I'm infuriated that we didn't try harder to win the game. So what still needs improvement on the Dolphins? Do you feel we left this game away, or was Seattle the better team? Okay, so I definitely don't think... I think we tried as hard as we could to win that game. But do you feel we let this game go away, or was Seattle... I'm an idiot, I'm sorry. The better team. I think we let this game get away from us, for sure. I don't know if we're a Super Bowl team, because I think the Seahawks are, but I definitely think we should have beat them on Sunday, for sure. The same question comes from Take Me Out. He says, if Matt Patricia becomes available, do you bring him in as your D coordinator? I don't know. I want to continue to see what Josh Boyer does, but before I say anything about that, I think Josh has been pretty good so far. There's not a call defensively that I'm like, why would you do that yet? So yeah, not like Matt Burke, where it's like, what the heck? What is happening? The next question comes from Vegas. He said, when do we trade Jordan Howard? I don't think you trade Jordan Howard. I think you let it keep it going here. There's still a lot of season left. This next question comes from David. He says, hey, Skaggs, love the show. Thank you. He says, first, let me start by saying I'm not the type of fan that jumps to conclusions. But this is the juxtaposition that I feel we are in. Brian Flores consistently preaches that the players that give the team he plays the players that give the team the best chance to win. If Tua doesn't give us a better chance to win than the product Fitzpatrick put out on Sunday, then we waste a first-round pick. And if Tua is better, but is just held, but is just held out, then B-Flow is full of it. Which one is it? This is a great question, because Brian Flores said something very interesting. He said, if I was Tua's dad, I wouldn't want to rush him out there either. And that really made me think. It's like, so has he not played? Because we talked about the video clips, and it's like, how, is it being reported right? All this stuff. And then Brian says that, and it's like, well, then is he not playing because you just want to keep him in bubble wrap? Because our offensive line is way better. It's really good, actually, Brian. And if he's better than Fitz, I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question, because I think he's a lot closer than people are saying, for sure. Just go watch those clips. So the question is, if Tua is better, but is just held out, then is B full? I don't think B is float. He never said anything about that. I don't think he's full of it. I know what you're saying is he always plays the best player that gives us the chance to win. I think he's just being a little cautious with him, if anything. And I would have been too. I wouldn't have played. If our offensive line was like it was last year, I wouldn't have played him. This next question comes from Beef. He says, hey, guys, a lot of Dolphins fans are getting impatient for the debut of Tua. Do you think Tua will sit out for the season, or do you think he will play after this season? Maybe against LA for Herbert, or Cincy for Burrow. So, okay, do you think Tua will sit out for the season? No, he will play. I think he might play against the 49ers. I think he's got a good shot at it. So he's definitely playing sometimes. I don't know. If we win a bunch of games, say Fitz comes back, we kill the 49ers, we just go on this win streak, which we could do because our schedule gets easier. Then I don't think you will see him. But if Tua does start against San Francisco, I don't think you see Fitzpatrick again, that's for sure. This next question comes from D. Mayo. He says, who is your offensive and defensive MVP through the first 4 games? That is a great question. Who's my MVP through the first 4 games? I think offensively, it would have to be Solomon Kindley. He's been the most consistent. He's killing it. I think, and Austin Jackson and Mike Gesicki would also be in that conversation, and Devontae Parker. And Isaiah Ford, I think they've all played well, but I think Solomon Kindley is probably the best. And I think defensively, I would say it's a tie between Xavier Howard and Kyle Van Noy. They've made the most plays. I would say those two. Even though Emmanuel Ogbah made some really nice plays on Sunday too as well. So yeah, I would say it's a co-MVP for X and Van Noy, and I would give the offensive MVP to Kindley. That's a great question. This next question comes from J. Cray. He says, so, would you be kind and wake me up when it's Tua time? Thanks, bro. Yeah, I think it's Tua time very, very soon. This next name is in Spanish. He says, I just think Brian Flores is a coward for not going for a touchdown on the last field goal. It really got me mad. I don't think he's a coward. And he did go. Do you mean you're mad and they didn't go for it? I think the way the game was going at the time, I'm not mad at him for kicking the field goal. I think the play call, with the look that we got, it would have been nice to get a timeout there, maybe regroup, maybe call a different play. But I like the idea of the play call. I don't think it's a terrible, terrible call, but it was when you saw the look, though. I'm not gonna lie. This next question comes from Vegas. He says, granted, we gave away some points against the Seattle Seahawks, but it's Fitz really playing so much better than Tua. This is my argument, than Tua, that he deserves to be the QB1. I ask because if Fitz plays better, we possibly win this game. I would have been much more accepting of the picks if they were thrown by Tua, because he's a rookie. I don't know. And like I said, we won't know until we know. And the only way we can know is if he plays. So we're about to know, I think. This next question comes from Beef. He says, Yo, Skags, next Sunday will be my birthday. So hopefully the Dolphins can win the second game of the season against the 49ers, or can win for the second time this season against the 49ers as a present. As a segue, have you ever asked for Dolphins merchandise for your birthday? And if so, what has been your favorites? Okay, so I not for my birthday, but for Christmas, I got a Dan Marino jersey. So yeah, there you go. And I think, that's about it. I think, I got a signed I did get I don't think it's for my birthday, but it might have been for Christmas as well, but I did get a signed Dan Marino football as well, for one of those two. So I think those would be my two favorite. And, see, can we win the second game? This brings me up. We won a game on my birthday when Michael Thomas intercepted Tom Brady. We were at home. This was 2013. We won that game on my birthday. So yeah, it's a great feeling to win a game on your birthday for sure. This next question comes from SM. He says, everything was in our favor to win the game. Again, this question comes from SM. He says, Seattle had to travel across the country to play a 1 p.m. game. We had an extra 3 days to rest and prepare. Jamal Adams was out, but we found a way to lose. Which was worse? The touchdown Seattle scored right before half or the fourth quarter? It's not even close. The touchdown they scored right before half. That was heartbreaking, dude. Heartbreaking. Because we had to fight out of a hole. After that, we were fighting. Like, we had to fight out of a huge hole. Like, that's unacceptable. You cannot give up 7 points right before half like that. We have a lot. Let's see. Yeah, we have a lot of questions we didn't answer that I will answer in a separate video, I think. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That has been your show for this week. Or we'll probably do an extended version, a separate fan Q&A video. It sucks that we lost this game, But it's clearly we're headed in the right direction. And here's the thing, guys. We might see Tua Sunday, which will be awesome to see the rookie play for his first game as a Dolphin. So I have Sky X83. There's a lot to look forward to. I think we're headed in the right direction to be positive. But there is, hopefully Byron comes back healthy. And I will see you guys in the next one.